Howdy, friend. Sam Houston here, hoping you're living in high cotton. And if you're lucky enough to be in Texas, I know you're most of the way there. Now enjoy your daily dose of Texas history and Texas pride.
Howdy, friend. Welcome back to the Feed Bandit podcast and your Texas history roundup for October 20th. In 1541, the Llano Estacado was first described by Francisco Vázquez de Coronado in a letter to the King of Spain. Quote, I reached some plains so vast that I did not find their limit anywhere I went, although I traveled over them for more than 300 leagues. With no more landmarks than if we had been swallowed up by the sea, there was not a stone, nor a bit of rising ground, nor a tree, nor a shrub, nor anything to go by. End quote. Yes, that is the beauty of the Llano Estacado. In 1864, a stronghold called Fort Davis, not the current Fort Davis, was built on the Clear Fork of the Brazos River to protect settlers against Comanches. This was just 1 week after the Elm Creek raid in Young County, when several people were killed and others were kidnapped. Local families had decided to gather in a common location for protection. About 20 picket-style houses with sod roofs formed a stockade, with a large stone house in the center. The fort was abandoned 4 years later in 1867 when Union troops returned to the area and established Fort Griffin. In 1868, Ben Thompson was sentenced to 4 years of hard labor and sent to the Texas State Penitentiary at Huntsville for shooting a teamster. His conviction was overturned 2 years later. Over the next decade, he spent time in Kansas and Texas, where he was involved in gambling and several killings. He returned to Austin in the late 1870s, opened a gambling house, and was twice elected sheriff in 1880 and 1881. Though considered a good sheriff for the times, he and his sidekick, John King Fisher, were killed in a San Antonio theater in 1884, where 2 years earlier Thompson had killed that theater's owner. Oh, now that would be an interesting story to expand upon. In 1878, the Island City Protestant Orphans Asylum was established in a rented house in Galveston. The next year, there were 40 children in residence, and the home was turned over to a Galveston Citizens Board. With name changes and mergers, it is now the Children's Center, Incorporated. In 1910, the remains of Stephen F. Austin were reinterred in the Texas State Cemetery. And in 1922, Adam Stovepipe Johnson died in Burnett. He had come to Burnett from Kentucky as a young man in 1854 and obtained his nickname through exploits as a Confederate soldier. During the, not Civil War, but War for Southern Independence, he captured Newburgh, Indiana, from a sizable Union garrison with only 12 men and 2 joints of stovepipe, disguised as a cannon, mounted on a running gear of an old wagon. Later he was wounded, became totally blind, and was captured. After his release from prison, he returned to Burnett, lived almost 60 more years, and led an active life, including being the founder of Marble Falls. Now that is an interesting good dude right there. Another story that could make maybe an interesting little mini-series. But all right, with that was your Texas History Roundup for October 20th. Thank you so much for listening. I really appreciate it. And we will catch you back here tomorrow for some more Texas history. All right, you take care.
Well, there you have it. If you like our podcast, check us out at feedbandit.com. There you'll find awesome Texas First outdoors gear and apparel. Your purchase helps support the bandits and keeps this podcast on the air, fighting for you and for Texas. Remember, preserve the tradition, protect the legacy. Until next time.